Hello friends, Amy Astrab with Astra Stamping. Got my coffee in hand, got my paper pumpkin kit which just came in the mail, and I cannot wait to get started making these fun cards. So I am going to turn the camera down. We're going to get started. I'll show you what all's in this month's kit. It's called Expressions in Color. It is the June 2021 kit. So let's just get the camera going and get this box open and see what we've got this month. We've got some of the new gorgeous in colors that just came out with Stampin' Up! In this packet. We've got some great sentiments here. We've got thanks and then a for everything. We've got a mini that can also go with the thanks. We've got sending hugs, congratulations, and you are amazing, along with these fun florals and this really fun background that looks like the alcohol ink smushing. So I'm excited to get to try that. So we're going to ink that up and try it soon. This kit did come with 2 colors of ink this month. So we've got Bumblebee, which is an in color that came out last year. And then we've got the Evening Evergreen, which is one of the brand new ones that just came out. And I am excited to see that because I have not ordered those colors yet, and I can't wait to try it out. And then we've got these beautiful card bases. Now this is resembling the alcohol ink technique that many of the demonstrators are doing right now with their Stampin' Blends and alcohol. Generally it's done on vellum, and I will try to put a class or a tutorial on that on my YouTube channel. So look for that coming up real soon. So we've got several cards with this background. Now, this is one of the new in colors here. And I am at a loss of what those colors are, so I will get that for you here in just a minute. Here is the Evening Evergreen. There are several pieces of this that layer on this card base, the Evening Evergreen card base. So that's going to be lovely. We've got some bases that are the Bumblebee color, and we've got some beautiful vellum papers that have designs in them, which are just gorgeous. So let me show you what these cards look like according to what Stampin' Up! Has designed. So we'll make one of each of these cards today, and then watch for some upcoming pictures on my Paper Pumpkin website or Facebook page, I should say. I will show some alternate ideas on there as well. Along with this kit, we did get some of the twine, which I really like. There's some beautiful pearlescent, I would call them, sequins that are self-adhesive in that packet. We've got some more of these lovely vellum papers. We've got one that says thanks. It also says merci and danke. So they are, you know, there's 3 of these laser cut vellum and 3 of these lovely flower dies. So you can make them in whatever language you choose. Perhaps you have a friend that's French or German that you could send those to and put it in a language they would love and appreciate and understand. We've got our glue dots. We've got some sentiment tags. And we've got these beautiful laser cut in color die cuts that we can put on our cards, along with some larger sentiment tags. So we've got the tiny ones and we've got some larger ones. So let's get our instructions out and get started on this. First things first, I'm going to go ahead and get these opened up because I do not have the Evening Evergreen. Most of you will know if you've watched my videos, I usually just use my larger stamp pads. But since I do not have this Evening Evergreen, I'm going to go ahead and get it opened up And the bumblebee, I think I will save and just use my larger ink pad for it, because I do have it. In case you are wondering, I am waiting for my latest order to come in, and that's why I don't have these yet. The other thing that I like to do before I get started is clean my stamps. So I am just going to take my chamois or whatever you use to clean your stamps with, and I am going to wipe them off. It's going to get any residue off of them that's on there from the manufacturing process, so that they will pick up and hold the ink when we go to ink them up. And I have found that I just get much better results if I do this first before I begin stamping. Okay, so those should be fully cleaned and ready to go. I'm going to get my paper pumpkin blocks out here. Oh, all of these cards do come with envelopes. There are two sizes. The green ones go in the smaller envelopes, and then the others are full-size cards. So I'm going to tuck those out of the way so we don't get them dirty. There is a little flyer in here that talks about the expressions in ink. So there are papers, DSP papers, that you can order from Stampin' Up! That coordinate with this kit. There is also a stamp set that would coordinate well with this kit. In fact, a whole bundle. So if you're wanting to add on to this and have even more fun, be sure and shop Stampin' Up! And go ahead and order some of those others. That was, it's actually what is on the front of the new annual catalog, which I'll show here. That is that bundle, or suite, I should say, of products. They coordinate well with this month's Paper Pumpkin kit. So we're going to start out with this card first, and I am loving these new directions. They are in full color, which is fabulous. So I'm liking that. It looks like they have taken the sentiment tag and stamped "You Are Amazing" on it. So let's start with that. We'll open up our Bumblebee ink pad, and we will go ahead and get out those sentiment tags that I have buried in this pile, and we'll start there. So I'm just going to, if you're a beginning stamper, you may want to leave them attached to this. I'm going to go ahead and take mine out for stamping on camera here. And I love using my grid paper, because I can line this right up and have it nice and straight by looking at the lines on my grid paper. I'm going to take my block and pull off the "You Are Amazing" stamp. I prefer, because these have so much give to them, these stamps, that I prefer, rather than trying to lay them on here, to pick them up with the block. And I'm going to go ahead and just do a little test sample to make sure that we got all of the oils off of this. Yes, it looks like it's stamping fine. So I'm going to ink it up and go ahead and stamp my sentiment on the tag. And I am just eyeballing this. Like I said, I get my tag kind of squared up, and then I just eyeball it, and I am very happy with that being straight enough. Now you can always, if you messed up and weren't happy with it, you can always flip it over. You won't have that pretty background or border, but you can always stamp on the back if you mess it up. So we've got our label, our sentiment tag is done. We are going to go ahead and pull out that card base. It goes with this card. And I'm going to grab the one I already folded. So I usually use a bone folder of some kind. There are many kinds out there. Stampin' Up! Provides one. If you don't have one, you can order one online. But just go ahead and give that a good crease so that it will stay folded. It's much easier to work with that way. And now I'm going to go ahead and punch out this beautiful vellum flower. And you will want to make sure you've got any ink off of your hands before you handle this, or it will get on that paper. I had to wipe some off of mine because I had yellow fingers. As you can see, I marked up my paper. So next we need to get out some of this beautiful evening evergreen twine that they sent. I'll go ahead and pull all of that stuff out. We've got our beautiful sequins. You can see those maybe a little bit better out of the package. Have a lot of shimmer. They're almost a pearlescent. They kind of change colors as the light hits them, and they're just gorgeous. All right, so for this, it looks like they wrapped it around the card base a couple of times. So we are going to go ahead and wrap that around. And then they tied a bow off to one side. They're usually very generous with the twine, so I'm going to leave myself a little extra so we can trim. And that way I don't have to struggle to make that bow. Now, another neat little tip or trick that you can try if you're struggling to be able to handle the twine or any kind of ribbon that you're tying, you can always use some glue dots or some of these little glue dots, or if you order the mini glue dots from Stampin' Up, they work really well, especially with ribbon. And I think I need just a little more string on this end for this bow. So pardon me while I adjust my twine. And what I'm going to do for this is I am going to tie a knot and then my bow. Because I just find it's easier to get it nice and snug. You're tying a knot. Tying a bow tends to allow it to get too loose. But again, if you use glue dots, it will help hold the ribbon or the twine in place. I would suggest on this that you do it on the front of the card and not the inside of the card. You don't want to stick your card together. Now, because some of the adhesives do show through the vellum, you may want to be careful about doing that, and that is why I'm not using that trick or method on this particular card. So I've got my bow. I am happy with it. I'm going to trim it up a little bit. Let's get those frayed ends off. I don't want them being too long. And now they are showing that they use the glue dots just on the one part of this flower. Now, again, the reason for that is because you don't want those glue dots to show through the vellum. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get my Take Your Pick tool and grab a couple glue dots. I'm going to try to position this. What we're going to do is we're going to cover the glue dots, and I've got the directions upside down for you. I apologize. We're going to cover the glue dots with this label once we get it on there. So you want to place those glue dots where your label will hide them. So, and I've actually got my bow on the wrong side of the card, but I'm going to leave it just like that. No, actually I am. I'm going to change it. So it's a good thing I did not use glue dots. We're going to change that up. And I'm just going to kind of adjust it. I'm going to pull it to the other side of the card. Now I do apologize. I'm working upside down so that you can see everything right side up on camera. So we'll just pull this down a bit on our card. They're showing theirs about 2/3 of the way down on the card base. So if you look there, and I'm going to spread it out a little bit so you can tell that there's a couple of strings there, not just a single one. I'll fiddle with that bow a little bit more later and make it pretty after we get everything adhered. Okay, so back to the glue dots. We're going to position this, about like that. So the glue dots that I am going to put on here are going to go right about in here. So see, you can kind of see, and this one's still got the paper backing, but you can kind of see that it is going to show through there. So I'm just going to kind of go over about 2 stripes and then probably put one right about in here somewhere, or maybe right up in here somewhere. I kind of want to straddle those strings instead of getting the glue dot on the string. The glue dots will kind of help hold the string down, but they're not very big. So I kind of want them to straddle that string rather than be on top of it. Okay, so I've got my 3 glue dots on there. I'm kind of straddling the twine that's on there. Give that a good press to make sure it's adhered. Okay. And then we're going to put our sentiment that we stamped on here, which I have buried. I cut all my nails short, and now I can't grab anything. Okay, so this is going to pop up right here, and we're going to use some of the Stampin Dimensionals, and I've got a package already going, so I think I will grab those if I can find where I put them and use my open ones instead of starting a new one. So you're just going to pop 2 or 3 on here. I'm going to go with 3. Peel that backing off, just like we did our glue dots. And adhere that right on there, like so. So we've got our "You Are Amazing." So now we're just going to add a few of these little iridescent sequins to add some sparkle and shine. I think I'm going to add one right over here on my sentiment tag. In fact, I'm going to add a couple. And I'm going to add maybe just a couple more to the card base. And there we have it. Now on the inside, you could put the thank you stamp. I will probably put thanks for everything inside of this one, but I am going to do that later off camera. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next card. So there we have it. Beautiful in color and vellum card. And next is the green one. So we're going to look at this green one, and it looks like they have stamped this floral image onto that beautiful green paper. And they have stamped that in the Evening Evergreen. So once I find, there's the card base for it. Go ahead and use the bone folder on it. Project. And we are going to just ink up this beautiful, and I'm going to go ahead and open that fully. It's just easier. Now there's 2 ways you can ink these up. You can ink them like this, which is my preference. Or you can lay, oops, not upside down, you can't. You can lay that down and you can ink it up this way. I feel like I see that I have good coverage better if I've got the image this direction. But whatever works easiest for you is what you should do. And I'm going to do just a little test stamp to make sure I am happy with the results. Just a good firm. You don't need to necessarily rock it or move it. Just stamp straight down firmly and come straight up. So I have re-inked it, and we're just going to randomly stamp this floral right here on this beautiful, I would call it designer series paper. It's a little heavier. It's a thinner, almost a thinner cardstock. Our DSP is typically more of a paper, and it's usually double-sided. But these panels are more like a thinner cardstock, but they have the beauty of the DSP, and it makes for a really nice feeling card. And again, we're just going to randomly stamp this. I'm going to kind of go more, I think I will go over in this corner. And there does not have to be a rhyme or reason to where you put these. I am kind of following their direction or their lead on this particular one. For this first one, I like to do a sample just the way they do it, unless I totally don't like what they came up with. And then I'll come up with my own. But I like to make all of my cards a little bit unique and different. So I'll start out with their idea. If I love it, I'll make more. And if I don't, well, I'll come up with something else fun. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this stamp off, get all that green off of there. And I'm going to peel that off, and I am going to go ahead and take the smaller flower image. In fact, there's a teeny tiny one that I think I'm going to use as well. It's almost like little berries. So we might add some more berries, and there's this other little kind of leafy sprig that we'll probably use as well. I'm going to add some of these fun flowers in between. Now you'll see I got a little ink on that block, but it's okay because that block is not touching the paper. So see, the ink stays on the block, does not get on the paper. If that bothers you though, you can easily wipe that off. So I am just going to go ahead and add a few more of these fun little flowers. And I'm going to turn them a little bit as I stamp them so that they don't look so patterned. With these tinier images, it sometimes is easier to just go ahead and use the block on the little ink pad. And so I'm going to continue to just add some of these random little flowers. They don't have to be perfect. There's no rhyme or reason. You can add as many or as few as you'd like. I like to stamp off the edge of my cardstock. I feel like it just makes it look more like it's meant to be so that everything's not so contained within the boundaries or borders of the panel. And these are little four-leaved flowers, so it's real easy to kind of turn and fit them close to each other if you like that look. Now, personally, I don't want this to get too busy. I'm going to leave some blank area because I do really like that alcohol ink look that they've done. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. And I think I will add some little sprigs first, and then I'll come back and add those little berries after the fact. So and because you can see right through these clear stamps, you can get that little sprig to fit right up to the edge of that flower. And that is the beautiful thing about a photopolymer stamp set. Because you can't always do that with the red rubber. You can't really see what you're stamping up to. You can't get in there quite that tight. I'm going to stamp here, and I'm going to stamp again right here. And that's what we call second generation stamping. So it's a little lighter. I'll show you here on the white paper. So there's first generation, there's second generation, there's third generation. I don't think third generation is going to show up on here very well, but second generation definitely does. So if you don't like the really dark image, you can always stamp off and then go ahead and stamp on your paper to make the lighter image. And I'm going to go ahead and clean that one off. And we'll ink up these cute little berries. A little cluster of berries. And we'll add just a few of those here and there. Oh, that's kind of fun. It's not what I expected. The little dots are actually the negative space, which is kind of fun. I like it. I like it a lot, in fact. That is way more fun than I thought it was going to be. So I'm just going to add some of those. Beautiful. All right, now I am happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off, and we'll move on with our card. So this one gets the thanks, which you could also use the danke or the merci. I have a friend who learned French a long while back, and I think she would appreciate a card that says merci. I'm probably botching how I'm saying that, but that is, I'm going to go ahead and use the French version on this card. I'm going to put that fun little, that last little stamp that we used. It's really cute. I really, really like that. And it's tiny enough, it will fit on there. I'm going to add some of that. And I'm not going to do it in the yellow. I'm going to do it in the green. And I want to evenly space it. So I'm going to go back to my grid paper again and kind of see how many squares do we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So about every 2 spaces. And what I think I will do is come in about that same amount from the other side. Roughly 2 spaces. Stamp again. And then I'm going to go right towards the middle. There we go. All right, so instead of putting thanks for everything, I'm putting merci. I'm putting these fun little stamps on there. And we're going to start adhering everything. This one also gets some of those fun little sequins, so we'll add some of those here in a few minutes. But let's go ahead and get the Merci attached. So I'm going to flip this upside down and add some of those glue dots. First I have to find where I stuck them. There they are. So I'm going to go one right there in the dot on the eye. And I am looking for the white part. And I'm just kind of placing those where I see the white part is thickest. And it's hard to see on camera. I'm sure you cannot see what I am seeing here. But I am looking for the wider areas of the white. You can probably see through there where I've got them. Once that paper backing comes off, I don't think they will show at all. But because it's a little darker where the white is at, I'm trying to just kind of stay in those areas, just in case. Now I'm going to use several because this seems a little delicate, and I definitely do not want it coming apart in the mail card. Okay. And I'm going to attach the Merci right down here. And so now that we've peeled off all the paper backing and got it adhered, you see the Merci, but you do not see those glue dots. Now, if you looked hard, I'm sure you can tell that they are there, but they're not obvious. And so now we're going to go ahead and take this. I can't tell. It almost looks like they used dimensionals, but I think those dimensionals are too wide. If you had the mini dimensionals, they would work perfect on here. And I have them, but I don't think I want to pop this up. I'm going to go ahead and just use the glue dots because it does not say anything. It's just a decoration. So we'll get those little paper backings off of there. And if you're wondering what I'm using, this is called a Take Your Pick tool. It is so handy. It is on the Stampin' Up! Website, so if it's something that you would be interested in adding to your tool collection, I would highly recommend it. I think they are about $10, and I can go ahead. I will put a link on my Paper Pumpkin Facebook page so that you can easily find this tool. So I will do that after I get this all done and posted. And I'm just going to add some of these fun little sequins around. I don't want to cover up the pretty flowers, so I am just looking to randomly place them in between or over some of the little sprigs, just for some extra visual interest. And I think I'm only going to pop about 3 of them on there. This is a rather small card, so I did not get this perfectly straight. But you know what? It's a handmade card, and people don't necessarily expect them to be straight. Now, I could totally use the glue dots to adhere this, but I am just going to go ahead, for the sake of being faster, and use some of this multi-purpose glue and just glue this panel down to the card base. Because it's just quicker, it's easier, and the glue allows me just a brief window of time to get it centered up the way I want it before it's permanently adhered on there. So there is card number 2, all done. Merci, or if you chose to use the thanks, and then you can put your either handwritten or hand-stamped sentiment on the inside. And I'm going to lay that over there with our other completed card, and we are going to move on to card number 3, which is just absolutely gorgeous. It is with this bumblebee Bumblebee cardstock. All of these card bases are pre-scored in your kit. It makes it really easy to just fold, score with your bone folder, and have it ready to go. They are showing that they adhered this beautiful vellum paper with about 4 glue dots right close to the center, tied down. So we'll flip this over. We'll add about 4 of these adhesive dots near the center. And they did just kind of a little diamond pattern with their adhesive dots. Just enough to keep it in place on your card base. You don't want it coming off. So pop those off. Now, before I trimmed my fingernails so short, I probably would have just picked them off with my fingernails, but I got them a little shorter than normal, and this Take Your Pick tool is coming in quite handy today. I'm just centering this up as best I can before I press those glue dots down. And I'm just going to give them a good firm rub so that they adhere well. And then we're going to go ahead and punch these out. All right, and now these are just going to be arranged right over that beautiful vellum paper. And I think I'm going to put the green down first. And I'm just going to kind of lay these down and just kind of play with the arrangement a bit so that I can decide exactly how I want them. I think I will put the purple down and kind of sandwich it. It's a little more delicate of a die cut, especially here in the center. The green and the pink appear to have a little bit more meat in the center. I'm going to start with one in the middle. Actually, I'm going to start with 2 in the middle on this one, because if this one doesn't stick, the other ones are not going to, for sure. So I'm actually going to put 3 right there in the center, and I am going to kind of come out here and put some on these, excuse me, a little laryngitis today. I'm going to kind of put some on these leaves that are hanging out here. Okay. Now I'm just going to dump those off, and we will go ahead. Oops, I missed one. Okay. We're just going to want that to kind of be centered up like this. You know, I added those extra little glue dots. They're just going to kind of tack it down a little better. We want the ends to be kind of loose and pop up a little bit, but you don't want them to not stay secured to your card. So that's why I added a few extra. It's probably overkill, but that's just my nature. And I'm going to do the same here. There's really only room for 1 glue dot in the center of this one. And there's barely room for that. And I am going to go ahead again and pop just a couple of glue dots out here. Oh, we'll go there. Just to kind of keep things tacked in place when we put it on the card. Now, one little trick you can use is to just, this is a very pointy, sharp end, so I like to pick it loose, but if I'm having trouble getting it off of there, you can totally poke that paper and it'll just pull right up off of there. And then picking them up, it's fabulous for just being able to pick them up and move them without having to touch that glue to your fingers and make it less sticky. All right, so we've got our purple layer down. We just need this beautiful pink on top. I think we'll just go here and maybe here. Just so we have a little extra grab towards the center. We want those ends, like I said, to be loose and, you know, not be stuck down tight. That's just part of the beauty of the card, is to have those looser elements that have some movement to them. And kind of want to intertwine these just a little bit here. So stick that down there. All right, everything's stuck down tight. Now we need some of our twine again. So we're going to take a good length of this. They recommend 12 inches. There is a ruler right here on your paper, your instructions, that is really easy to get your measurements. So 0 to 6 twice would be 12. So about there is what they're recommending for this card. I am going to try to just get it a little straighter and try that bow again. Try to get that knot right where the center is, because it's about the center of the string anyway. All right. I like that a little better. The bow lays nicer if it's not so twisted and curly. And that's just going to go right about the center of your card, kind of right across there. And I am going to turn this a little bit so that my ends of my bow are hanging down and not on the upper portion. And again, this take your pick tool is great for just kind of adjusting that to where you want it. And we're going to take a glue dot or two. Don't know that I really need two, but I'm going to do two. That paper backing out of the way. And go ahead and adhere that down. Get it stuck good and tight. Don't want it looped around my leaves especially, so I'm going to untangle those a bit. And now we just need our sentiment tag. They did congratulations on the long, narrow sentiment tags that came in this kit. So they used these, and they did congratulations. I think I am going to use thanks for mine. I'm pretty sure thanks will fit on here. Thanks. And yes, I think that's going to look just fabulous centered up on there. So we are going to do thanks instead of congratulations. They stamped theirs, let's see, they stamped theirs in yellow, and I think I'm going to follow suit with that. So we're going to ink this up in yellow. Again, I'm going to test this stamp out before I use it on my, yeah, it's given a nice clean image, so I know it's good and clean. And I just put my thumb in the ink, so let me clean that off before I try to stamp this and get ink all over. And I'm going to line that up on my grid paper best I can to get it good and straight. Center it up and just give a nice firm stamp. And there we go. Beautiful. Now, there is definitely room. If I wanted to, I could add a little flower or sprig on there. And I think I'm going to play with that real quick and just see what I think. I don't want to do the green, but I might do the little yellow sprigs. It might be fun. All right. And that is going to be popped up with the Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to use at least 3 on this, because when it goes through the mail, you don't want it to get too compressed and not look pretty when they open it up. Now, oftentimes when I use dimensionals on a card, I will use what they call a non-machinable stamp. It is a little bit of extra postage, and you do have to request a non-machinable stamp. They have 2-ounce stamps, which are the same price, but they are not necessarily non-machinable. So ask for a non-machinable stamp if you're concerned about your card with dimension or extra embellishments going through the mail. And there we have it. It helps to, once you get that on there, it kind of helps your bow to stay in place. You can trim up the ends of the ribbon however you need to. And we've got a beautiful card. How easy was that? And how fun. Now that is a card that would brighten someone's day. Can't wait to send it out. It's all ready for my handwritten message to be put inside, or again, I can find a stamp and stamp something inside. I could even use from this one, I could use the "You Are Amazing" on the inside, or I could use the "Sending Hugs." But I think what I am going to do is I am going to go ahead and stamp the inside with this floral, this larger floral image, to decorate the inside of my card. Just a little decorative image right there. Kind of adds a little bit of fun. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add one here as well. And I got a little bit of yellow ink there. So I may have to add a few little extra embellishments just to kind of hide that. I'm going to just stamp over top of that little guy there. And we'll add a couple more just randomly. There we go. Still plenty of room to write my sentiment or stamp whatever other greeting that I want to pop in there. And I can even write over that ink if I need to, because that yellow is just light enough that you can do that. So beautiful card. And envelopes can be decorated to match as well. So let's go ahead and stamp that same image in the yellow right here on our envelope. Trying to make sure I don't have the yellow on my thumb so I don't wind up with the thumbprints too. And I'm going to add a couple back here on the envelope flap as well. And voila, we've got a beautifully decorated envelope to match our card, ready to go in the mail. So I hope that's given you some good tips and ideas for how to assemble this month's Paper Pumpkin Kit. If you are not currently getting Paper Pumpkin, it is a monthly subscription, and I would be happy to help you get that ordered. You can continue it every month. You can order a prepaid subscription, which means you can buy 1, 3, 6, or 12 months in advance, and then you just redeem those when you're ready to order a Paper Pumpkin Kit that you think you would like. Now, if you don't like the surprise of these kits, you can also go on. Stampin' Up! Just came out with some new project kits. They're very affordable. They're just as lovely and fun and based on a similar idea to the Paper Pumpkin Kit. So you have everything you need to create beautiful cards right there in the kit. And like I said, they're very affordable. I think they start at like $12. Some are stamping, some have no stamping. They're just assembling the card, and then you write whatever you want in there. The greetings are already done for you. So that's definitely something to check out. So pop on my website. That is at astrastamping.stampinup.net, and you can shop right from there. So if you have any questions, feel free to get hold of me. I would love to hear from you. Leave comments for me below. Thanks, and happy stamping.